Hi, I'm Tom Critchley of Caboose Co, and hopefully today I can impart some of the lessons I've learned over a decade of running pop-up campsites around the UK at large events. Let me start with telling you about Caboose Co and myself. Caboose Co was started because we thought there was a lack of quality accommodation for festival goers and staff at events. So we looked around, decided we could refine and improve what there is already. And we created best-in-class ensuite accommodation in shipping containers, and then recently we've added a new glamping pod. From my side, I've run large sporting events and corporate events all over the world, and it was about 10 years ago that I ran my first campsite, and steadily have done more and more of those over the years. Since 2016, I've run the Open Camping Village for the Open Golf Tournament. This was a youth initiative for the event to encourage young people and families to attend the Open and to give them an economic choice to be able to come and stay at the event for a few days. So from that time, we started out on 2 rugby pitches with a few tents, and now we cover 25 acres and we have a capacity of nearly 2,000 campers each year. So it's grown in popularity, and much of what I learnt creating that each year in a different part of the country hopefully will be able to transcend into smaller operations, because many of the key things, if you get them right on a big scale, work on small as well. So starting off, it's very important to know your clientele. Work out what type of customer you want to get. I mean, with the golf campsite, we started focusing purely on under 25-year-olds because it was a youth initiative, and we realised that the youth don't really spend much money, and from an economic point of view, budget point of view, it wouldn't work. So we then tweaked it slightly to make sure that families came, and then the parents. It also created a nicer vibe at the campsite, less about youth and more about a family atmosphere. It was the right step, and helps the budget balance better, and a better experience. That was key to the growth and the success of the event. So know your customer, work out who you want on site, and then target them, but also be ready to adapt and change as your location will dictate that. Number 2 is guest experience. Once you've worked out your clients that you want to have on site, this can help shape your experience that you give them. Glamping is about making camping more accessible for people who are less hardy. They want to be at one with nature, they want an economical holiday, but they also want to have ice in the gin and tonic at the end of the day. So what embellishments can you give them to enhance their experience? We always say at Caboose Co, you can't just be a box in a field, so you need to find simple ways to upgrade what they experience so that they feel relaxed and feel pampered. The key thing here, though, is to keep it simple. If it's too complicated, they will keep asking lots of different questions. So find the easy wins and celebrate those. Number 3 would be security. Obviously, most glamping sites are deep in the country and beautiful country views and walks. But as there's more popularity with glamping and staycations, more urban or closer to town, glamping operations are going to be more prevalent. So my advice would be to think about what you're doing with regards to the local community. There'll be a lot of interest when you start out. People want to have a look, to have some visible measures of how you keep it safe, because you need to give the glampers peace of mind. You don't want any ongoing issues, and if people are coming onto the land, it spoils the experience for the glampers. So it's a tricky one to work out, but just have that in mind of how you give the glampers peace of mind when they're enjoying the facilities and the tents, and they feel their stuff can be safe. They're safe left there, and obviously your own facilities you put in place, that they've got to be good and well looked after. So moving on, number 4 would be a simple pre-arrival info. We work on the principle that less than half of the people coming to the campsite will have read their documentation before they come. We pick out the most important information, put it in the email, check-in time, driving directions, anything that's vital for them to get there, and then everything else goes into a PDF attached to the email. They'll probably read that on the way, or they'll read it just before they depart. So keep it simple, keep it to the bare minimum information, and that will ensure that people don't get overloaded with information and don't read anything. Then I'd say, number 5 would be a good check-in process. This is so key. Often people have rushed out of work, they've had a long drive to get there, arguments in the car with their other half, so they often arrive stressed. So if you've got a welcome, greeting as they arrive, a smile, this puts them at ease, makes them feel like they're on holiday at last, and make everything simple for them on arrival. This is your first physical contact, and will put people at ease when they arrive. We've had people arrive at the campsite who are stressed. They've arrived when we're overloaded with hundreds of check-ins in the peak time, and they become more irate, and then they become irritated for the next couple of days. This is not what you want for your guests, and this is not one for you to manage yourself. So I would say make sure that check-in is a lovely experience, and it sets people at ease and makes life simple and easy for you. Then I'd say number 6 is know your health and safety. Find a good consultant to guide you in compiling all documentation for fire safety and risk assessments. So important to have this and to understand it. But the other thing is, I would say, run through scenarios. You can have all the documentation done, but then just think about what could go wrong. Obviously, fire is an easy one, but things like adverse weather, flooding. Most campers will come along and they'll actually go, do you know what, this isn't palatable, I'm off. They'll make their own choices, but the odd people might not have that choice. And will you have to house them somewhere else? Will you have you got room to throw their airbed on a floor somewhere? Just so that it's something you just to bear in mind. Things like that will crop up, and if you've thought about it beforehand and you've prepped yourself and all of your team, then you're ready for it. But invariably, if you try and make things up on the fly, there'll be other problems down the road that needs to be addressed as well, like rescuing tents that are being blown over by a gale or things like that. So very important to run through what could go wrong, and it's mostly weather, it's mostly security, and it's mostly fire. But touch wood, I've been lucky so far, and we haven't had any major problems. So hopefully you won't either. Then number 7, I'd say think carefully about your food and beverage. People just want to, enjoy their time there, and most times people are self-sufficient. But at the same point, we need some convenience. Glampers like things, to hand. They, they need to know where they can get a cup of tea in the morning. So have that thought through. Think about some basic dried goods that are available to anyone who comes, so that they can at least feed themselves with a can of beans or some tea with UHT milk, and this will just allow people who are the less prepared to enjoy themselves. I've had people turn up for camping weekends with only a bed sheet, and they've frozen through the night. So invariably I've had to find extra sleeping bags and pillows and all these other things that people just don't even think about bringing. So once again, in your pre-event or your pre-arrival information, put in a nice list of things that they should bring: towels and flip-flops and warm clothing and bobble hats. It's so important for people to come in, and a torch, obviously. Then I would think number 8 would be an efficient changeover. So often people think, oh, we've got the tents, we've got the location, we've got a lovely sort of setup, but actually the hidden cost and a huge amount of manpower goes into changing a tent, cleaning it from when people have checked out to the next people arrival. This is going to be the bit that people don't expect of how difficult it is. It's actually the most important part, in my opinion. You've got to get everything right so that the next guest experience starts from when that tent's ready. So make sure you've got enough resources in the first few weeks. Make sure you've got backup resources, because invariably some people turn up and then they go, do you know what, this isn't for me. So you need to make sure that changeover is seamless. It will take a little time to get into the rhythm, but that's a key part to think about, and make sure that you start it small and grow and make sure you've got the resources to hand. So those are my key learnings. You know, there are many banana skins anyone starting a glamping operation will come across. I think those are the most important ones to think about. Everyone always thinks about the lovely tents and lovely views and how it would be a lovely place to visit. But you know, there's a few less exciting things to consider. As I mentioned, it is good to start small, you know, build up slowly, have some test weekends with some friends and family and neighbours, get their feedback, get your team up to speed before you have, you know, paying punters on your land. That will put you in good stead, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. That's the, you know, it's very rewarding being a host to glampers. You know, they love the experience when it's done right, and you'll enjoy it. So, you know, just hopefully it goes well, you know. And if you need any advice, by all means, get in touch with us at Caboose Co. We're here to help, and check out our glamping pods, which we just launched. You know, they're a really good option and great for a first time glamping venue. Thanks very much for your time.